Hello and once again welcome back to my channel. Students, how are you? I hope you all are doing well and I hope you all are watching my video lessons regularly. Yes students? So students, let's begin with our today's video lesson. But before beginning with the video lesson, you have to do 3 things for me. I hope you all remember those 3 things. Yes? You have to like the video, you have to subscribe to my channel so that you will not miss any further updates, and you have to share the video lessons with your friends and classmates. Alright, so let's get started. So students, in this video lecture, we will begin a new chapter from your course book. That is chapter number 7, The Wind, and it's a poem. Students, you need to understand that in this module, we will cover the introduction part. It means we will talk about the poet of the poem, as well as we will cover the first 3 stanzas of the poem. Students, since the poem is divided into 6 stanzas, today we will cover the first 3 stanzas of the poem, and in the next video lecture we will understand the other 3 stanzas of the poem. Okay, so let's begin with the video lecture now. Let's see introduction. About the poet. Students, who has composed this poem? Who is the poet of this poem? So, the poet of the poem, The Wind, is Harindranath Chattopadhyay. What is the name of the poet of the poem? The name of the poet is Harindranath Chattopadhyay. So, when he was born? Harindranath Chattopadhyay was born on 2nd April 1898 in Hyderabad. And students, where he died? He died on 23rd June 1990 in Mumbai. Okay? So now let's have a look on various works produced by Harindranath Chattopadhyay. Students, the poet has composed various poems and great films. So he has composed Sakubai, Mirage and Mirror, Hunter. He has also composed Siddhartha, Men of Peace. Students, it's a great play on Buddha's life and mission, and he has produced many other poems. So students, now let's read poem The Wind. Chapter number 7, The Wind. Students, let's read the poem now. Let's see the first stanza. The wind, he is a naughty chap who whistles far and loud. Today he wears a patchwork cap of ragged rainy cloud. Students, can you see the very first sentence of the first stanza? The wind, he is a naughty chap. Can you see the comma after wind? Students, here we need to understand that in the very beginning of the first stanza, the poet has used a pronoun. And what's the pronoun? Yes, the pronoun which he has used for the wind is he. Can you see? The wind, he is a naughty chap who whistles far and loud. So students, can you see that in the very first stanza of the poem, the poet is comparing the wind with a naughty chap, with a naughty kid. So students, how we can say that the poet has compared the wind with a naughty chap? We can clearly see that the poet has used a pronoun he, right? So firstly, the poet is comparing the wind with a naughty boy, naughty kid, right? So here, do you remember which literary device the poet has used here? We have already learnt about this literary device, isn't it? There is one literary device which we use to compare non-living things with living things. I hope you all remember. Yes. So students, the literary device used here in this stanza is personification. Yes, I hope you remember now. So what is personification? When any non-living thing is being compared to a living thing. So here the wind is being compared to a naughty kid. So it means the poet is comparing, and for that comparison he has used personification, right? Who whistles far and loud. So now he is talking about the noise. Okay, the manner in which the wind is moving. Whistles far and loud. So when wind arrives, it arrives with full speed, right? So in that speed, it seems as if wind is whistling. Okay. So that is why they have talked about the manner, okay, that the wind is traveling fast and loud. Clear? Then the poet says, today he wears a patchwork cap of ragged rainy cloud. So now he is saying that today he, it means this wind, is wearing a patchwork cap. And how he is wearing this patchwork cap? Because of this cloud. So when there is cloud in the sky, it seems as if the wind is wearing a patchwork cap. Okay. So students, as you all know that if you have seen any kid, you all know the nature of kids, right? Kids are naughty. They are unable to control. Similarly, we cannot control wind. Okay. Wind cannot be controlled. Wind cannot be managed. Right? So that is why here the poet is talking about the nature of wind in general. Okay. So students, I hope this is clear. Now let's see the second stanza. Second stanza. He wanders here, he wanders there, with mischief in his mirth. He does not care for anyone on earth. Students, can you notice? The poet has again used a pronoun he. For whom he is repeatedly using the pronoun he? Yes, absolutely correct. The poet is again and again in the poem using the pronoun he for the wind, right? As we know, he has used personification. He has given a humane touch to the wind, right? That is why he is saying, he wanders here, he wanders there. Students, as you all know that now the poet is talking about the carefree nature of the wind, okay? That the wind keeps on traveling from place to place, right? It keeps on moving. And what is the nature of wind here? Mischievous. Can you see? With mischief in his mirth. So wind is cheerful. Wind is naughty. He doesn't care about anything else. All he cares about is moving from place to place. So students, here the poet wants to say that the wind is naughty. Okay. The wind is carefree. The wind is a rover. Who is a rover? Students, a rover is that person who keeps on moving from place to place. Have you ever noticed your own friends and classmates when they used to move like a rover in the corridors? I hope you all remember that, isn't it? So here we can clearly say that the wind is like a rover. It's like a wanderer who keeps on moving from place to place without any purpose. Okay. Students, the poet also says he does not care for anyone on earth. What do you understand from these lines? See, in these lines, the poet is very clearly telling you that the nature of this wind is carefree, right? He does not care for anyone. Even if you are rich, you are poor, the wind doesn't care for that. The wind is not doing any partiality, right? It is equal for everyone. So if you are a poor person, then you will be affected by wind, and if you are a rich person, then also wind will affect you, right? So there is no partiality. Okay, there is no inequality. That is why wind doesn't care for anyone on earth. Clear? Now let's move to the third stanza. Third stanza. He tries to blow out kitchen fires. He leads the sands astray. He tampers with electric wires and sometimes has his way. Students, let's focus on the first line. He tries to blow out kitchen fires. He leads the sands astray. So now again they are talking about the power of the wind. Can you see? He tries to blow out kitchen fires. So now they are talking about the power of the wind. That when the pressure of wind is there, so what happened? It blows the kitchen fires, right? So have you ever noticed that when there is somebody is using bonfire, or when your mother is cooking food in kitchen, what happens? If the wind is in full pressure, what happens? It keeps blowing the fire, right? So wind is so strong that it can even blow the fire, and it is very strong that it can even lead the sands astray. So it has all the power. They are talking about the strength of the wind, right? So students, we need to understand that in the third stanza of the poem, the poet is trying to talk about the strength and power of the wind, right? Then he says, he tempers with electric wires and sometimes has his way. So students, here the poet is saying that wind has its own direction, right? You cannot guide wind. Wind can decide its own direction. He tempers with electric wires, so he can move from anywhere. He can move from sky. He can even move from within the electric wires and sometimes has his way. So wind tries to find its own way. Okay, there is no barrier for wind. Students, do you ever realize that why we are studying about wind? What is the need that you as a student are reading this poem? Yes? Can you tell me what is the need for it? So students, here we need to understand that through this poem, the poet is trying to give us a message that we humans have to take certain qualities from the wind. And what are those qualities? We have to be powerful like the wind, right? We have to be strong enough like a wind. The wind decides its own direction, isn't it? Similarly, we humans have to decide our own direction. Okay, sometimes it do happens with us. We becomes emotionally weak, right? We becomes disconnected with the society. So, we have to avoid all these things and we have to become powerful and strong like wind. We have to choose our own strength. That is the reason that as a student, you people are understanding and reading this poem, right? So students, now let's see the rhyme scheme of the poem. So what is the rhyme scheme of the poem? I hope by now you all know how to identify the rhyme scheme. Yes? So for this, you really need to check the stanzas carefully and you have to see the last word of each line, right? So we can clearly see that the rhyme scheme is A, B, A, B. How can we say this? Come to the first line of the first stanza. Can you see the word? Chap. And now see the last word of second line. Can you see? Loud. So do you think that chap and loud, they both are rhyming with each other? No. So in this case, we have to give another alphabet to loud. So what we can give? We can give B alphabet, right? Now let's come to the third line. Can you see in the third line, the last word is cap. So students, can you see chap and cap? Both the words are rhyming with each other, right? So these both words, we can give them A. And now come to the last line of first stanza, cloud. So what we have noticed? Here, loud and cloud, both of these are rhyming with each other. So in this manner, we can say that the rhyme scheme of the poem is A, B, A, B. Clear? So students, what we have learned in this video lecture? In this video lecture, we have only covered the introduction and the explanation part of the first three stanzas of the poem, right? So in the upcoming video lecture, I will be giving you the explanation of the other three stanzas, okay? And for you, what is the home task? That you have to do the work which I have already told you in the online class, that you have to do the introduction, you have to do the notes in your English Fair register. And in the online class, in the WebEx meeting, we have also discussed the question answers, right? So you have to do that as well in your English Fair register. And students, for better practice, better learning, don't forget to read the poem at your home as well for enhancing your reading skills and pronunciation. Okay. So students, that's it for today's class. I hope you have understood the content well. So now I'll meet you all in the next video lesson. Till then, you take care of yourselves and you keep on learning. And yes students, before going, make sure you hit the like button, you subscribe to my channel and you share my video lessons with your friends and classmates. Alright, bye bye, take care.